From plummeting consumer confidence to Brexit-induced trade disruptions, the once sturdy pillars of the UK economy appear increasingly fragile. As businesses grapple with supply chain woes and inflationary pressures, households reel under the weight of soaring prices and stagnant wages. Political turmoil and global economic headwinds further compound these challenges, leaving policymakers scrambling for solutions. In this probing analysis, we look at some of the root causes driving the UK's economic downturn, unravelling the complex factors shaping its uncertain future. The UK may have narrowly slipped into a technical recession at the end of 2023, according to estimates from a leading think tank, underscoring the fragile health of the economy. The UK economy is under pressure from several complex and interconnected issues, which have merged into a fragile economy that policymakers are finding extremely difficult to manage. Before the 2008 global financial crisis, the UK had been a strong performer among the G7 countries. But this momentum was lost in the middle of the last decade. The greatest barrier to the UK's growth remains to be high inflation, which has been worsened by international factors, including a strong global demand for consumer goods, a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic and associated lockdowns, the supply chain disruption, and soaring energy and fuel prices, particularly due to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The most obvious impact of inflation is the loss of purchasing power. As purchasing power erodes, many feel the impacts on their budget, but those on a low income or fixed income often feel the effect the most. Aside from that, rising inflation increases interest rates. It also increases the price of everything and ultimately slows economic growth. Over the coming months, however, inflation is expected to fall, potentially easing the pressure on UK households and supporting the recovery of the consumer-driven economy. The UK is also facing labour shortages across various sectors. The main reason behind this is the fact that demand for labour has recovered faster than labour supply since the pandemic. While the UK is not unique in experiencing shortages of materials and workers, commentators have noted that new immigration rules post-Brexit may have exacerbated the situation. The new points-based system encourages employers to invest in the domestic UK workforce rather than simply relying on labour from abroad. Yet, preliminary data is showing that this new immigration system is directly weighing on heavy labour shortages the country has been experiencing ever since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in low-skilled sectors. The Bank of England is closely watching Britain's job market as it worries that labour shortages will keep wage growth high and make it hard to get inflation all the way back to its 2% target after it hit a 41-year high of 11.1% back in 2022. A final report of the Economy 2030 inquiry noted that while the challenges Britain faces are huge, they are not insurmountable, and the first step would be to increase investment. More than £500 billion worth of underinvestment by government and businesses over recent decades has left Britain's economy trapped in a growth doom loop. The UK has steadily slipped down the global investment league tables as successive governments have held back from boosting expenditure, alongside a faltering performance in the private sector. Underinvestment undermines economic growth, leading to deteriorating infrastructure, reduced competitiveness, and heightened unemployment and inequality. Moreover, economies become more susceptible to shocks, facing greater vulnerability to financial crises and natural disasters. The government, therefore, needs to come up with new strategies that will turn Britain from a stagnation nation to an investment nation. Bringing down inflation is also a prerequisite for lasting stability and growth. And in attempts to do this, the authorities have rightly tightened monetary policy and fiscal policy in the fight against inflation. The country also faces structural challenges, notably weak potential growth, and ambitious reforms are needed to bolster the UK's productive potential. It's evident that the UK economic activity has outperformed certain expectations, but the outlook remains weak and vulnerable to shocks. Risks to the outlook are skewed to the downside and stem from more persistent inflation, delayed impact of monetary policy, and structural weaknesses of labour supply. There are plenty of reasons why the UK's economy is tanking, and whether or not we'll see changes in the near future is yet to be determined. Achieving meaningful progress will require unwavering commitment, collaboration across sectors, and adaptability in response to evolving economic dynamics. While strides have been made, the government must remain vigilant, agile, and responsive in navigating the complexities of the economic landscape and advancing the nation towards a more prosperous and equitable future.